Imagine saving for years, making your biggest dream come true, only to have your own family try to steal it from right under your nose. I thought I knew what betrayal felt like, but nothing prepared me for the moment I overheard my parents planning to give away my future. My name is Jeannie. I'm 32, and I work as a financial advisor in Boston. For 6 long years, I poured every spare cent, every extra hour into one singular obsession: owning property. Last spring, that dream finally came true. I bought a duplex, and in a moment of intuition that felt almost prophetic, I decided to keep it completely quiet from my family. That decision, it turns out, was smarter and sadder than I ever could have imagined. It was just a regular Sunday dinner, the aroma of pot roast filling my parents' suburban home. But what I overheard that day ripped my world apart. My parents, Martha and Frank, were sitting with my brother Kevin and his wife, Sarah, not just talking but planning. Planning for Kevin's entire family, his wife, his 3 kids, to move into my new duplex rent-free. Without a single word to me. My duplex. My dream. Growing up, family comes first wasn't just a saying in our house. It was practically a commandment. But somehow, that commandment always landed squarely on my shoulders, especially when it came to my older brother, Kevin. He was the charmer, the life of the party, always quick with a joke. He was also, unequivocally, terrible with money. By 25, he was drowning in credit card debt from impulsive splurges. By 30, he'd already burned through money borrowed from our parents for a failed business. Every single time, our parents, Martha and Frank, would swoop in, offering endless financial support, endless comfort. And me? I was always expected to contribute, loaning money I'd painstakingly saved, or providing free childcare for his 3 kids, Liam, 10, Sophie, 8, and Ethan, 5. His latest crisis was the worst yet. 8 months ago, he lost his marketing job. Sarah, his wife, a part-time teacher, simply couldn't make ends meet alone. Their landlord hiked the rent, and they were spiraling. It was a pattern I'd seen my whole life, but only now truly understood. While Kevin was navigating one financial disaster after another, I was meticulously building my own future. 7 years ago, I got my MBA, then a solid job as a financial advisor in Boston. The irony wasn't lost on me. I helped others become financially independent while my own brother seemed determined to do the opposite. I lived frugally, packed my own lunches, said no to impulse buys. 30% of my income went straight into savings every single month for years. When I finally hit my goal, I found a perfect investment: a duplex. Live in one unit, rent out the other, and watch it pay for itself. After months of searching, I found it, a charming brick duplex just 20 minutes from downtown. It needed some love, but it was solid. It was mine. This was the biggest purchase of my life, and I was doing it alone. That's why I kept it a secret from my family. Part of me wanted to surprise them, sure. But a bigger, more cynical part feared they'd somehow find a way to make even this milestone about Kevin's needs. The day I got the keys, it was pure exhilaration. Standing in that empty duplex, I felt an almost overwhelming surge of pride. This was mine. 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, living room, kitchen in each unit. A cute backyard. I pictured everything. I took photos, sketched out renovation ideas. Over the next week, I lined up utilities, scheduled cleaning. I planned to move into one unit and rent out the other, covering 60% of my mortgage. Friends came over, we painted, ordered pizza, and I felt a deep sense of ownership. A lifetime of hard work, paying off. But my carefully constructed future was about to crash headfirst into my family's ingrained expectations. I just didn't know it yet. The following Sunday, I drove to my parents' house, champagne chilling in the passenger seat. Tonight, I was finally going to tell them. I imagined their proud smiles, their surprise. I arrived early, as always, to help Mom in the kitchen. Pot roast simmered. Dad watched baseball. I was happily chopping vegetables when Kevin's family burst through the door, their usual chaotic energy filling the hall. Mom went to greet them, leaving me alone in the kitchen, half listening to the cheerful chatter. But then their voices dropped. They'd moved into Dad's study, right next to the kitchen. The house grew quiet, and their words drifted through the thin wall. My father's voice, hushed but clear, "It's the perfect solution. Jeannie has all this extra space now." My hand froze. The knife hovered over a cucumber. Extra space? They couldn't possibly know about my duplex. I hadn't told a soul. Then Mom's voice, warm and self-righteous. "She always helps family. That's how we raised her." Kevin's turn. "It would be such a relief, especially for the kids. They need stability." And Sarah, "I was thinking we could put the boys in one bedroom and Sophie in the other. The living room in their side is bigger than ours, right?" Their side. My blood ran cold. My heart hammered against my ribs. They knew. And not only did they know, they had already decided. My duplex. For Kevin. Rent-free. Without a word to me. I stood there, frozen, straining to hear more. "Mom, do you think Jeannie will want us to help her move her things to make room?" Kevin, laughing. "No need, Martha. She hardly has any furniture. Always saving instead of living a little." Then Sarah, a snide chuckle. "Well, we'll help her decorate. I have so many ideas for making that place feel like a real home." A wave of white-hot anger washed over me, mixing with pure disbelief. Not only had they unearthed my secret, but they'd carved up my property, parceled out my future, all without my input. The assumption of rent-free living wasn't even a question. It was a given. My cheeks burned. How had they found out? It didn't matter. Their sheer audacity was breathtaking. We finally sat down to dinner. I just picked at my food, waiting. My father cleared his throat, a self-satisfied smile playing on his lips. "Jeannie," he announced, "we have some wonderful news. We found the perfect solution to Kevin's housing problem." I took a long sip of water, eyes fixed on my plate. Mom chimed in. "We know about your duplex, sweetheart. Mrs. Johnson from church saw you there. We're so proud." Before I could even formulate a response, Kevin launched into it. "Perfect timing, sis. The kids' school is so close. It just makes sense for us to take the other unit." Sarah nodded enthusiastically. "We'll be the best neighbors. The kids are so excited to be near Aunt Jeannie." My heart sank. Everyone was looking at me, expecting jubilant agreement. The unspoken question hung heavy in the air. "Of course you'll say yes, right? You always do." Even Liam, my oldest nephew, piped up. "Mom says we can walk to school, and you can help me with math." I forced a smile, unable to crush the kids' hopes. That smile was taken as a green light. The conversation immediately spiraled into moving logistics. Mom started planning my move, then there's... Kevin beamed. "Our lease is up at the end of the month. No rent to pay. We can finally get ahead. Rent-free." It was explicit now. Not a single person at that table paused to consider my mortgage, my financial plans, or the years I'd worked for this. Not a single thought about my plans for my property. I said nothing. I just nodded, pushed food around my plate. Decades of being the family peacekeeper held my tongue. But inside, something fundamentally broke. A line had been crossed, and this time I couldn't ignore it. That drive home, it was a blur of righteous anger and deep, aching sadness. Every single time I'd sacrifice for Kevin flashed through my mind. The canceled vacations, the endless babysitting, the way I was always expected to pick up the slack because I was single and supposedly had fewer responsibilities. By the time I pulled into my apartment parking lot, a quiet, fierce resolve had settled in my gut. This time would be different. This time, I would put myself first. The next morning, I woke with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. Coffee in hand, I grabbed a notebook and started listing every instance my family had taken advantage of me. The page filled quickly. Working 2 jobs for my undergrad, while Kevin's tuition was fully paid. The 3 times Kevin borrowed money from me, never repaid. The Christmas my parents suggested I buy the expensive gaming console because I didn't have kids to spend money on. The pattern was undeniable. I was the family's safety net, the one always expected to sacrifice. But what truly stung was their utter disregard for my dreams, my goals. Not once during the previous night's dinner had anyone asked what my plans were for the duplex. The assumption was that my property, my investment, was a family resource to be divvied up as they saw fit. By the way, if you're still with me on this wild ride, and you're getting a feel for the kind of battles you sometimes have to fight in life, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the next chapter of this story or the unbelievable tales I've got coming for you. I immediately called my best friend, Taylor. She was the only one who truly knew how much I'd sacrificed for this duplex. Her outrage on my behalf was a balm to my raw nerves. "Jeannie, that's absolutely insane," she exclaimed. 6 years of saving. Your investment. Your future. They can't just decide to move in, rent-free, without even asking. "But they're family," I whispered, the old conditioning rearing its head. "And Kevin has the kids." Taylor cut me off. "Family doesn't give them the right to take advantage." "Would Kevin do the same for you?" We both knew the answer. No, never. You need to set boundaries, Jeannie. If you let them in now, rent-free, you'll never get them out. Your investment will become a burden. She was right. I knew it. After that call, my path was clear. No direct confrontation yet. Just action. I would accelerate my plans. That afternoon, I contacted 3 property management companies. By Tuesday evening, I'd signed with Cornerstone Property Management. Their manager, David, promised qualified tenants quickly. I made the final, crucial decision. I'd rent out both units. Maximize income. Create a clean break. I'd find a new, smaller apartment for myself, closer to work. More separation. More independence. Cornerstone wasted no time. By Friday, David had potential tenants lined up. I took a day off work. We discussed rates, leases. He projected rent slightly above my initial calculations, covering nearly 75% of my mortgage. The next week was a blur. Dodging my family's increasingly frantic calls and texts about moving, I secretly met tenants, reviewed applications, signed leases. I skipped Sunday dinner, claiming an urgent client project. By the end of that whirlwind week, I had 2 sets of excellent tenants. Michael and Lisa, a young professional couple from the nearby hospital, took what I had intended to be my unit. And the other side, the one my family had so confidently allocated to Kevin, that went to Dr. Eleanor Wilson, a retired professor downsizing after her husband passed. Leases started the 1st of the month, 2 weeks away. Tight but manageable. I arranged cleaners, move-in inspections. And for me, I found a small, modern 1-bedroom, just 3 blocks from my office. More expensive, but the convenience was worth it. With 2 units rented, my overall housing costs were actually lower. I signed a 6-month lease and moved my furniture the following weekend. Only Taylor and 2 other friends knew my new address, sworn to secrecy. I'd tell my family eventually, but not until it was too late for them to interfere. The guilt gnawed at me. Kevin called, offering to help me pack. I gave vague, evasive answers. Mom texted about measuring curtains for Kevin's side. I replied I was still sorting paperwork. Each communication, each lie, was a twist of the knife. As move-in day for my actual tenants approached, the calls and texts from my family became a barrage. Sarah sent Pinterest links for my unit. Dad called to arrange help with Kevin's moving costs. Mom left voicemails about a housewarming party for all of us. Each message cranked up my anxiety, but also cemented my resolve. The pattern was so stark now. My family, making plans for my life, my resources, my future, always without consulting me. Always assuming I'd just fall in line, especially if it benefited Kevin. The weekend before my tenants moved in, I slipped in my new apartment. Changed my address, updated everything. It was small, but cozy, with a tiny balcony and modern appliances. As I unpacked, a cocktail of emotions swirled inside me. Guilt over the looming confrontation, raw anxiety about finally standing up for myself. But beneath it all, a surge of pride and independence. I was taking control. It was terrifying and exhilarating. Then David called. Both tenants confirmed for Saturday. Everything was set. All I could do now was brace myself for the inevitable storm. The entire week leading up to move-in day was a pressure cooker. Kevin texted daily. "Hey sis, can we drop off some of the kids' stuff this weekend? Sarah's already packed their rooms." I'd reply hours later, vaguely, still finalizing things. "We'll let you know." Tuesday, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. "Jeannie, sweetheart, I picked up lovely curtains for your living room. Thought we could hang them this weekend." I texted back, "Thanks, Mom. still sorting things. Might need to postpone. By Wednesday, Dad joined the campaign. His text was blunt. Kevin needs to give notice by Friday. When can they move? I called him back, keeping my voice annoyingly casual. Dad, I know Kevin's anxious, but there are repairs, paperwork. I'll have a better timeline next week. His frustration was clear. Jeannie, they need to make decisions. Their landlord is already showing their apartment. We can't leave them homeless. I understand, Dad, I replied, voice steady. But I need to get everything set up properly first. Thursday, Kevin showed up at my office. My office. I was in a client meeting when the receptionist buzzed me. He was agitated, pacing, hair disheveled. Jeannie, we need to talk dates. Sarah's freaking out. We have to be out by month end, and you keep putting us off about when we can move into the duplex. I hissed, Kevin, I'm with a client. This is not the place. Well, you don't answer your phone or text with actual information. His voice rose. I took a deep breath. I have things under control. I'll have more info by the weekend. As he stomped off, he paused. Oh, and Sarah wants to know if you have a preference on paint colors for the kids' rooms? Light blue for the boys, lavender for Sophie. The audacity. We'll talk about all that later, I said, already turning away. That evening, an email from Sarah. Duplex decorating ideas. Pinterest boards. Links to furniture she planned to buy. Do you mind if we paint the kitchen cabinets white? The current color is a bit dark. I closed the email. No reply. My resolve hardened with every presumptuous message. Friday. The most difficult call yet. Mom, just as I was leaving work. Jeannie, your father and I want to help you set up your place tomorrow. Then get Kevin's side ready. They need to move this weekend. Her urgency was palpable. I couldn't put them off any longer without revealing everything. Mom, I have errands tomorrow. How about we talk Sunday dinner? A pause. Is everything okay, Jeannie? You've been so evasive. If there's a problem, Dad can fix it before Kevin moves in. Her genuine concern almost broke me. But I remember the years of one-sided expectations. Everything's fine, Mom. I'll explain Sunday. I promise. A text from Kevin arrived seconds later. Parents said you're being weird about move-in. What's going on? We need to get out ASAP. Landlord's a jerk. Followed by another. Sarah wants bedroom measurements for our furniture. And, can you chip in for the moving truck? Tight on cash, but I'll pay you back next month. Each message was a fresh insult, reinforcing my decision. The entitlement was so deeply ingrained, he couldn't even see it. He expected me to accommodate him, finance him, rearrange my life to solve his problems. Without question, without complaint. Saturday morning. Move-in day for my real tenants. A knot of dread twisted in my stomach. I was due at the duplex at 9 a.m. to meet David. Dr. Wilson at 9:30, Michael and Lisa at 11 o'clock. I dressed in my sharpest professional clothes, determined to project competence. As I was about to leave my new apartment, my phone rang. My father. Jeannie, he boomed, no preamble. Your mother and I are heading to the duplex now. Thought we'd surprise you with breakfast. Kevin and Sarah are meeting us there with boxes. My heart leaped into my throat. They'd be there before me, before the tenants, before I could explain. This confrontation, the one I'd dreaded for weeks, was about to happen in the worst possible way. Actually, Dad, I'm not at the duplex, I stammered. I'm on my way to meet someone. Perfect. We'll see you there, he chirped, hanging up before I could protest. I immediately called David, warning him. He assured me he'd handle it. Wait for my arrival. The drive to the duplex was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I rehearsed every word, every explanation, every firm stand I'd have to take against the inevitable anger. As I turned the corner, I saw it. My parents' car parked right in front. Kevin's minivan pulled up behind it. And in my rearview mirror, a moving truck. Dr. Wilson was early. The moment of truth. No turning back. I parked, took a deep breath. My family stood on the sidewalk, looking bewildered, facing David in his Cornerstone Property Management polo. Dad was already arguing. There must be some mistake. This is my daughter's property. She bought it for our family. David saw me. A subtle nod. Mrs. Harper, he said, using my formal last name, your family was just explaining they thought they'd be moving in today. I stepped forward, my heart hammering. Mom, Dad, Kevin, Sarah. I began, my voice steadier than I expected. I need to explain something. Mom looked utterly bewildered, clutching a bakery bag. Jeannie, what's going on? Who is this man? And why is there a moving truck? The truck was indeed parking across the street. Dr. Wilson, a dignified woman in her 60s, emerged from her car and approached. Kevin, always the quickest to anger, strode towards me. What the hell, Jeannie? We were supposed to move in today. We gave notice. Before I could answer, David intervened smoothly. Perhaps we should step aside to allow Dr. Wilson access to her new home. Her movers are waiting. Her new home. Sarah shrieked, her voice cracking. What is he talking about, Jeannie? All eyes were on me. This was it. The moment. I straightened my shoulders. I spoke clearly. I rented both units of the duplex to tenants. Dr. Wilson is moving into Unit A today, and another couple is moving into Unit B later this morning. The silence was deafening. Mom gasped. Dad's face darkened, a storm brewing. Kevin stared, pure disbelief. David, sensing the volatile air, turned to Dr. Wilson. Doctor, if you'll give me a few minutes to resolve this family matter, I'll be right with you. She nodded, understanding, and retreated to her car to wait. You did what? Dad finally asked, his voice dangerously quiet. I rented both units. I repeated. I signed year-long leases with qualified tenants through Cornerstone Property Management. Kevin exploded. Are you effing kidding me? We have nowhere to live, Jeannie. We gave notice. Where are we supposed to go in 2 weeks? Sarah burst into tears, fumbling for her phone. Mom stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. Sweetheart, there must be some misunderstanding. We discussed this. Kevin and his family need that second unit. You know their situation. I gently removed her hand. No, Mom. You discussed it. You all made plans for my property without asking me. You assumed I would just go along with it, like I always do. We thought you'd want to help your brother. Dad interjected, his voice rising. Family helps family, Jeannie. That's how we raised you. His words, meant to guilt me, only fueled my fire. Yes, family helps family, but it should go both ways. What has Kevin ever sacrificed for me? When have any of you considered what I might need or want before making decisions that affect my life? Kevin scoffed. Oh, here we go with the poor Jeannie routine. You have a good job, no kids, no real responsibilities. Some of us have actual problems. No real responsibilities? His dismissal of my entire existence, my years of sacrifice, was the final straw. 6 years of saving, denying myself everything, working overtime, weekends, to buy this property, and you call that no responsibilities? My voice rose despite myself. Like financial responsibility? Because from where I'm standing, Kevin, you've never shown any. You've borrowed money from me 3 times without repaying it. Mom and Dad have bailed you out countless times. And now you expected to live in my investment property rent-free, with no regard for my mortgage payments or financial future. By now, Michael and Lisa had arrived, watching the family drama from their car. David discreetly went to explain the delay. Mom was openly crying. Dad put his arm around her. I never thought you'd be so selfish, Jeannie, he said, disappointment etched on his face. Your brother has children to think about. I'm not being selfish. I retorted, voice firm. I'm being realistic. This duplex is an investment I worked hard for. I have a mortgage to pay. If Kevin lived here rent-free, I would be covering the entire cost. How is that fair? Sarah rejoined. Her expression hardened. We would have help with utilities. And Kevin's looking for work. Once he finds something, we could have contributed. I shook my head. That's not enough. And based on past experience, I don't believe it would have happened anyway. How long before 1 month turned into 6, and 6 into a year? How long before my investment became a financial burden instead of an asset? Kevin turned to our parents, throwing his hands up in disgust. Can you believe this? After everything we've done for her. That statement stunned me into silence. Everything they'd done for me? My mind reeled through years of last-minute babysitting, unpaid loans, rearranging my life for their convenience. What exactly have you done for me, Kevin? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. Name one time you've put my needs before your own. One time you've sacrificed anything for me. He faltered, speechless. That's enough, Jeannie, Dad roared. I don't know what's gotten into you, but this isn't how we raised you. Family comes first. Yes, family comes first. I agreed, my gaze unwavering. And I am family, too. And for years, I've been expected to put everyone else's needs ahead of my own. Not anymore. So what are we supposed to do now? Kevin demanded, frantic. Where are we supposed to live? The same place you would live if I hadn't bought this duplex. I replied, exhaustion creeping in my voice. Find an apartment you can afford. Budget your money. Do what every other family has to do. Sarah scoffed. Easy for you to say from your position of privilege. Privilege. Her word ignited a fresh, searing anger. Privilege. I worked 60-hour weeks for years to save for this property. I packed lunches, lived in a tiny apartment, drove an old car. I earned this through hard work and careful planning, not privilege. Mom, ever the peacemaker, tried one last time. Jeannie, sweetheart, maybe we can compromise? Perhaps Kevin could pay some rent, even if it's below market rate. I shook my head. It's too late for that, Mom. I've signed binding leases with both tenants. They have legal rights to occupy those units for the next 12 months. You could break the leases, Dad suggested. Pay whatever penalty there is. The suggestion that I should take a financial hit to solve Kevin's problem was a stark illustration of the dynamic I was fighting against. No, I said firmly. I will not break legal contracts and risk my professional reputation because Kevin failed to plan properly. These tenants have rights, and I intend to honor my agreements. Kevin threw up his hands. Unbelievable. So much for family loyalty. Mom was openly weeping. I don't understand why you didn't just tell us your plans, Jeannie. Why keep it a secret if you weren't doing anything wrong? Her question hit me hard. It was fair, because you never would have listened, I replied, honestly. You would have pressured me, made me feel guilty, and wore me down. You didn't even ask me before making plans for my property. You just assumed I would go along with what you wanted, like I always do. David approached cautiously. Mrs. Harper, Dr. Wilson is ready. And Michael and Lisa are waiting. I nodded, grateful for the interruption. I need to attend to my tenants now, I told my family. We can continue this discussion later if you want, but my decision is final. Dad's face was a mask of disappointment. He took Mom's arm. Let's go, Martha. Clearly, Jeannie has made her choice. Kevin remained defiant. This isn't over, Jeannie. You can't just leave us homeless. You're not homeless, Kevin, I said, my voice thick with exhaustion. You have 2 weeks to find a new place. Plenty of families manage it every day. Sarah grabbed his arm. Come on, Kevin. She obviously doesn't care about us or the children. As they turned to leave, Mom looked back, tears streaming. I don't recognize you anymore, Jeannie. This isn't the daughter I raised. Her words stung, a deep, painful jab, but I stood my ground. Only when their cars had vanished did my shoulders slump and tears finally well in my own eyes. David approached, a tissue in hand. That was tough, he said kindly. But for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. I wiped my eyes, straightened my posture. Thank you. Now, let's get Dr. Wilson settled. As we walked towards the duplex, I felt a weight lift. The confrontation had been brutal, yes, but necessary. For the first time, I'd chosen myself. The fallout would be huge, but so would the growth. I offered Dr. Wilson a genuine smile. This was a new chapter for my tenants and for me. The silence from my family after that day was absolutely deafening. Mom's daily texts vanished. Dad's weekend check-in calls ceased. Even Kevin, usually my most frequent contact for favors, went completely dark. It was like I'd been excommunicated for an act of pure self-preservation. That first week was the hardest. I'd pick up my phone, fingers hovering over Mom's contact, then set it down, reminding myself I hadn't done anything wrong. I just protected my investment and set a boundary that was decades overdue. But 32 years of conditioning is hard to break. The guilt was a heavy blanket, especially at night in my quiet, new apartment. Had I been too harsh? Too sudden? Taylor, bless her, was a rock. 3 days after the blast, she arrived with takeout and wine. Just let me vent. I keep second-guessing. I confess, curled on my new couch. Maybe I should have let them have it. Am I selfish? Taylor stared at me, incredulous. Jeannie, Listen to yourself. 6 years you saved. They expected it for free. How is protecting your investment selfish? But they're family, I said, the argument sounding hollow even to me. Yes, she shot back. And family should support each other mutually, not just take. When did Kevin ever sacrifice for you? I couldn't think of a single time. Exactly. This pattern had to be broken. You actually did Kevin a favor. He needs to learn responsibility, not get another bailout. She was right. He'd never face consequences because someone, usually me or our parents, always rescued him. By cutting the cord, I was forcing him to stand on his own 2 feet. The second week, practicalities took over. Both tenants settled in smoothly. David sent reports, a leaky faucet, a sticky door. Fixing these small things gave me a profound sense of competence. Then, the first rental checks arrived. Tangible validation. Seeing those deposits, knowing they covered most of my mortgage, filled me with deep satisfaction. This was what I had worked for. By the third week, the silence from my family began to shift from hurtful to concerning. I worried about Kevin and Sarah, about my niece and nephews. Despite everything, I still cared. I finally broke down and texted Mom, just checking in. Hope everyone is well. Hours later, a brief, formal reply. It stung, but confirmed they'd found housing. Glad to hear that, I responded. I miss you. No reply. Then, a month after the confrontation, a handwritten letter arrived. From Mom. Her familiar cursive on the envelope brought tears to my eyes before I even opened it. For pages. The first real communication. My dearest Jeannie, she began. It has taken me some time to process what happened. I want you to know that while I was hurt and disappointed, I've been reflecting on our family dynamics and my role in creating this situation. She admitted they'd taken my generosity for granted, admitted Kevin had relied too heavily on them. Your father and I had good intentions, she wrote, but we should have asked you first. That was wrong of us, and I'm sorry. Fresh tears. It was more than I'd hoped for. Exactly what I needed. She continued. Kevin and Sarah found a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not ideal, but it's within their budget. The children are adjusting to sharing a room. Kevin found part-time work. Sarah picked up more hours. They are managing. The letter ended with a cautious olive branch. We'd love to see you at Sunday dinner if you're willing. I can't promise no tension, but Dad and I will make an effort to respect your boundaries. Kevin may need more time. Love always, Mom. I clutched that letter to my chest, overwhelmed with relief and gratitude. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a beginning. A week later, I drove to their house, a mix of anxiety and hope. Mom opened the door, a brief, awkward pause, then she pulled me into a tight hug. I've missed you, she whispered. Me too, Mom. I choked out, tears stinging. Dinner was subdued. Kevin, Sarah, and the kids weren't there, which was probably for the best. Dad was reserved at first, but slowly thawed. By dessert, we were talking. Before I left, Dad pulled me aside. It was wrong of us to make plans for your property without consulting you, he admitted gruffly. You worked hard for that duplex. It's yours to do with as you choose. Coming from him, that was monumental. He didn't admit mistakes easily. Thank you, Dad, I said, hugging him tight. That means a lot. Reconciling with Kevin and Sarah was a longer, slower path. They dodged several family dinners. When we finally saw each other at my nephew's birthday party 2 months later, the tension was a physical thing. Kevin was stiffly polite. Sarah barely acknowledged me. But the children, bless them, were unchanged. Sophie hugged me tight. Liam showed me his science project. Ethan wanted to sit on my lap. Their innocent affection was a small balm. Months passed. Slowly, subtly, our family dynamics shifted. My parents began treating me with new respect, consulting me instead of informing me. They stopped automatically volunteering my time and money. It was a profound change, validating everything. Kevin and Sarah remained distant, but small signs of progress emerged. Kevin texted me when he got a full-time job, an olive branch. Sarah included me in a group text about school fundraisers. Most surprising, Kevin was actually developing financial responsibility. Mom told me he and Sarah had budgeted, stuck to it. They'd even started a savings account. A first. Thanksgiving approached. I both anticipated and dreaded it. The first major family gathering since the Duplex incident. Mom called to confirm I was coming. "They're doing better now," she said casually. "Kevin especially. I think this whole experience was a wake-up call for him." I arrived with wine and my signature pumpkin pie, a culinary shield. To my surprise, Kevin met me at the door, a tentative smile. "Hey, Jeannie," he said. "Good to see you." "Good to see you too," I replied, meaning it despite my nervousness. The day wasn't without awkwardness, but it was far better than I'd imagined. Later, in the quiet of the kitchen, Kevin approached me. "I want to apologize," he said, clearly uncomfortable but determined. "What we tried to do with your duplex wasn't right. We shouldn't have expected you to house us for free." His apology, belated as it was, felt incredibly sincere. I could see the effort it cost him. "Thank you, Kevin," I said, a lump forming in my throat. "That means a lot." He nodded. "The apartment we found? It's okay. It's teaching us to live within our means." Guess that was overdue. It was the most self-aware thing I'd ever heard him say. I smiled. "I'm glad things are working out." "And I started a savings account," he continued, a hint of pride in his voice. "Not much yet, but it's a start." "That's great, Kevin. Really great." Driving home that night, I reflected. The confrontation had been painful, disruptive, but utterly necessary. By standing up for myself, I hadn't just protected my investment, I'd ignited crucial changes in my family. My relationship with my parents was stronger, more balanced. Kevin was finally stepping toward responsibility. And I had grown in confidence, learning that boundaries, however difficult, are essential for healthy relationships. My duplex, my investment, was thriving. Tenants reliable. Rental income covering most of my mortgage. Dr. Wilson even sent a holiday card, thanking me for a lovely new home. As I unlocked my apartment door, a profound sense of peace settled over me. The path was hard, but it led to growth for all of us. And I learned to value my own needs as much as I valued my family's. 6 months after the duplex explosion, my life settled into a new normal, one I couldn't have imagined a year earlier. My one-bedroom apartment near work felt like a real home now, decorated for me, not with hand-me-downs. The shorter commute gave me an extra hour each day for yoga or reading, small luxuries I'd always denied myself. The property management company sent monthly reports, the rent reliably appearing in my account. Both tenants renewed their leases for a second year. Dr. Wilson planted flowers. Michael and Lisa repainted their living room. My investment was thriving. My relationship with my parents matured. Sunday dinners resumed, but I was now an equal adult, my boundaries respected. My father even asked my advice on his retirement investments. A massive shift. But the most surprising change was with Kevin. Our childhood roles were shattered. He was no longer the charming, needy one, and I wasn't just the responsible provider. He kept his full-time job, showing a commitment to stability that was truly new. He and Sarah downsized, budgeted, even started a savings account. Then, exactly 1 year after the confrontation, Kevin invited me for coffee. An unusual request. Curious, a little apprehensive, I agreed. He looked different, more settled. His usual graphic tees replaced by a simple button-down. Hair neatly trimmed. "Thanks for meeting me," he said as I sat down. "I wanted to talk without the whole family around." I nodded. He took a deep breath. "This past year has been enlightening. When you refused to let us move into your duplex, I was furious. I thought you were selfish, cruel, knowing our situation." He paused, meeting my eyes. But looking back, it was the wake-up call I desperately needed. Sarah and I have been living beyond our means for years, always expecting someone, usually you or mom and dad, to bail us out. When you removed that safety net, we had to figure things out on our own. His self-awareness stunned me. "I know," he smiled wryly. "Shocking, right? But it's true. We never faced consequences. When you forced us to, things actually got better. The apartment isn't your duplex, but it's ours, and we pay for it. The kids are fine sharing a room. Sarah and I finally made a real budget. Should have done it years ago." He reached into his pocket, slid an envelope across the table. Inside, a check for $1,000. A significant chunk of what he owed me. It's not everything, he acknowledged, but it's a start. I'll pay back every cent. A lump formed in my throat. That check wasn't just money. It was tangible proof of his growth, of our changing relationship. Thank you, I managed. No, thank you, he replied, surprising me again, for not enabling me anymore, for forcing me to grow up, even though I fought it every step of the way. We talked for nearly 2 hours, perhaps the most honest conversation of our adult lives. Kevin confessed his struggles with money, admitted he'd envied my discipline while resenting it. I confessed my frustration, my guilt. By the time we parted, something fundamental had shifted. We were no longer locked in old roles. We were two adults, finding a new way to be family, free from unhealthy patterns. The lessons extended beyond family. My financial confidence blossomed, spilling into other areas of my life. I spoke up more at work, took on leadership roles, negotiated a promotion and salary increase. I even started exploring a second real estate investment. My personal relationships benefited too. I learned to say no without elaborate apologies. It was a simple skill, but it transformed everything. That holiday season, I hosted Thanksgiving at my new apartment. A tight squeeze, but everyone made it work. Kevin, Sarah, the kids. Mom brought stuffing. Dad carved the turkey I'd nervously prepared. As we gathered, I looked at their faces, filled with gratitude. The journey had been hard, but we emerged stronger, with healthy relationships built on mutual respect, not just obligation. Kevin raised his glass. To Jeannie, he said, for teaching us all that true family support means helping each other grow, not enabling bad habits. And for making one hell of a turkey for her first Thanksgiving. Laughter, clinking glasses. Mom squeezed my hand, her eyes speaking volumes. Pride, love, and deep appreciation for the woman I'd become. The Duplex, once a source of conflict, became the catalyst for profound change. By standing firm, I secured my financial future and helped my family evolve into healthier versions of themselves. Short-term pain, long-term growth. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential for healthy relationships. By valuing my own needs, I created space for all of us to grow. The old saying, "You can't pour from an empty cup," proved profoundly true. Taking care of myself made me more, not less, able to support my family meaningfully. The Duplex stands as a physical reminder of that transformation. What began as an investment became the turning point in our family story. And for that unexpected gift, I am eternally grateful. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever had to draw a really tough line with family members who just seem to take your generosity for granted? What did you do? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your stories.